What's up, everybody? Here we have a YouTube content creators gamer YT Classic Army M4 in for some upgrades. He'll be reviewing my work doing a gameplay video review on his channel. If you want to see his gameplay results, I highly recommend subscribing to his channel so you don't miss it. Link to his channel is in the description below. In this video, we are going to be doing a parts intended on installing for this guy, a before tune-up, disassembly, parts inspection and recommendations by yours truly. Then we'll go ahead and install the parts, reassemble, do an after chrono results, and then give you a final thoughts at the end. Hit that like and subscribe so you don't miss a future content like this one. If you want to get yourself anything presented in this video, I'll also have the links down in the description. Alrighty then, let's get into it. Okay dokie, so these are the parts that we're planning on putting in this guy. Starting off with the SLONG Airsoft cylinder head. This is one of my favorite parts to use. Moving on, we got the Aztech Piston Extreme combo. Comes with a piston, with a full metal rack, and a metal piston head. Moving on, we are going to be using the Rocket 18-1 Gearset for this guy. This will help with making the airsoft gun more reliable. And then we got the EPeS 21.4mm nozzle. This has two internal O-rings. Then the customer requested that they would like the maple leaf hop-up tensioner for their hop-up because they already have the maple leaf bucking. So now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the before tune-up chrono. See you guys there. Before we get started, I want to apologize to you guys that this M4 uses a Tamiya, and I already tried doing a amperage test and I just can't get a good reading with what the tools that I currently have. So we're gonna have to skip the max amp draw. That being said, got my sheet ready to go. The M4 is ready to go. We're using the EPM magazine with a 9.6 volt NIM battery, NIMH. And yeah, my old chrono took a dump on me, so we're having to improvise with this one, so I won't be able to do a graph thing. So we're gonna start off with the semi-auto and do 10 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2 misfires. That could have been anything, but we'll diagnose that later. I ended up writing down the numbers looking back on the video, and we got a minimum of 401.3 FPS to a maximum of 405.9 with an average of 404 FPS. So now we're gonna do full auto. So we're getting about 559 rounds per minute. And 411. I'm going to look back on the video and try to get an average and a total rounds per second. All right. Okay, so funny story. I messed around with the chrono and look what I found. Min, max, average, and even rounds per second. So yeah, I got it written down. We got a minimum of 411, maximum of 413 with an average of 412 on 0.20 gram BBs, and about 16 rounds a second on a 9.6 volt battery. This is the first. This screwdriver is what I normally use to get the screw out of these buffer tubes, but I'm gonna have to go to the store and get an even longer one.
A few inches later.
Now we got bringing the big guns. This should do it. All right, got my handy dandy notepad with my pen to make some recommendations throughout this parts inspection. So, not gonna lie to you guys, as soon as I opened up the gearbox, I saw this contraption right here and I was like, great. This is just like a Aries gearbox. I mean, should have taken a hint from the silhouette of the gearbox itself, but let's get into it. Starting off with the piston, it's all polymer. Yeah, so this doesn't matter because this is getting upgraded anyway. So this is what you can expect out of a Classic Army polymer version of their rifles. So next up is the cylinder. It's just a coated aluminum cylinder. It's very light. Not that it's a real bad thing. I'm not gonna bother testing compression because we're replacing the entire compression set, nozzle, cylinder head, and the piston. So you guys know it's just a polymer piston head. The nozzle, I don't like the fact that it has a narrow opening right there, but it does have an internal O-ring, so that's a good thing. Good for a starter gun, not gonna lie. But I will clean up the cylinder. So right off the bat, I am going to recommend better cylinder. What I usually like to use is a chromium or chromed out steel cylinder. They're more resilient. This is also might get replaced, but as soon as I open up this gearbox, this style of MOSFET uses a magnet off of these sector gears, and I've got to figure out how I'm gonna replace that. I might have the magnet to put in the right spot of the new gear set, the rocket gears that we're gonna put in this thing. It has a delayer chip. It's not bad. I like this style preferably because it has less likely a chance of premature engage the tappet plate and therefore messing with your FPS. The tappet plate itself, they do this little extended design right here to give it more of a smooth transition for the nozzle back and forth. Pretty stiff up front, so that's good. But these are MIM gears, which is I'm hoping I can swap out. MIM gears are prone to breaking teeth, especially at a higher rate of fire. So if this YouTube content creator, Gamer YT, decides to put a faster motor in these things, I doubt these gears would last very long. And then this dumb MOSFET. I don't like these MOSFETs or the way this electronic trigger unit works. It's kind of limited on what design he can go with. This is the magnetic type, so I despise them. I don't like this design. However, the gearbox does have some pretty decent radiusing on the front of the gearbox to help prevent the front of the gearbox from cracking. Customer did tell me that the spring is aftermarket. This is an ASG M125, and he was only getting what we saw in the chrono results, 404 FPS on semi, and it got another few more FPS on full auto. And with the upgrades that we're gonna do with this thing, it should go a bit higher than that. But and then the spring guide is made out of metal, but there's no thrust bearing on the back, but that will be fine because the piston that's going in this thing, the Aztech piston, does have a ball bearing thrust bearing to help this spring rotate when the gun shoots. I'm gonna go ahead and install the upgrades in this guy, and hopefully we can get that other gear set in that we want to put in. All right, let's rock and roll. Okay, so off camera, I went ahead and put in some upgrades, and I also talked to the customer, and they agreed to put a M4A Max Pro hop up in this guy. So I had to change to a different length nozzle. We ended up putting a 20.7 millimeter EPeS nozzle. Everything went together well. I did manage to find a good magnet in the right spot for the sector gear, and I had to file it down so it set flush with the side of the gear so it didn't interact with the tappet plate at all. I think that's it. We got everything all shinned up perfectly, and I think we just gotta throw everything together. So that being said, slam that like button if you made it this far in the video. Now to the chrono.
2 hours later.
Okay guys, so off camera, I put this airsoft gun all together and I started having issues. It was triple firing and then shutting down, and come to find out that the electronic trigger unit for this Classic Army M4 is no good. I talked to the customer off camera and we decided that we're gonna swap over to a Echo 1 reinforced gearbox. Come to find out, this gearbox does fit the Classic Army lower receiver if you modify this little disc right here that's raised up a little bit. We just got to trim some of that plastic off, and the pinholes for the lower receiver to the gearbox fit perfectly once that mod is made. And I did some other checks, so it does fit. So that being said, we also talked about swapping out parts because he's on budget constraints. And so instead of going with the max hop up, we're going to stick to the original one. And we adjusted the funds to put in a Perun V2 Hybrid electronic trigger unit, which will give him the same features that this gun came with, plus more. I'm going to go ahead and throw this sucker back together with this new gearbox. Okay, got it back together. Now let's see if she's going to behave. Semi works. Full auto works. All right, I'm going to get this together and we'll go to the chrono. The 9.6 volt NIM battery, PTS mag. Headshots, here we go. Not bad, not bad. We're getting an average of 405 with a minimum of 402.7 and a max of 408.1. I'm gonna write that down. And a 1, and a 2, and a 3. 10 round burst or something like that. Okay, so we got an average of 409.7 with a minimum of 403.3 with a maximum of 412.9 FPS. Let's go to the bench and compare the results. All right, let's talk about the results. So 404 versus 405.5. We gained a little bit of FPS. I think that's a really good thing because we changed out the gearbox completely and the FPS remained relatively the same. And if you look at the full auto comparisons on the averages, we went from 412.3 and dropped down to 409.7. And I think that's because of the nature of, this gearbox, the way the Tappet plate timing was working in the gearbox is why I think why the FPS dropped down. I think it's fine. And heck, the max FPS was almost the same. I forgot to mention how the rounds per second was on the after tune-up. So comparatively, before we got 15.9 rounds per second, and now we're getting 17.6. So we're still using the same motor, same gears. The only difference is that we're not using solid bushings anymore. We're using bearings, and it made this much of a difference. I wasn't able to get an amperage draw because of the stupid Tamir connectors interferes with how my amperage tester works. So if you guys made it this far in the video, hit that like and subscribe button and check out Gamer YT's channel. He's going to be reviewing this rifle in gameplay. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell button on both our channel and his. And I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye.